Welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. The important focus point of today is Noah's necklace chain, the condition of it, where it was found, and how it could tell a story in regard to the possible cause of death. It's quite an important personal item to Noah, and considering it followed him on his journey until the end is quite a strong message, don't you think? Join me today in this live premiere, and for anyone watching on catch up, as we take a deeper look into the meaning behind it all, as well with a bit of a map analysis too, and the hidden meaning and the depth behind the damage of the necklace, what could have caused it. Because one thing to acknowledge, you can look at the autopsy report and the condition of Noah's body, and that can give a story and a possible explanation for cause of death. But when it comes to true crime, it's not just the damage to the external part of the human body. Damage can go beyond that. In certain cases, when there may be a survivor, the external damage goes beyond within the internal inner state. At what cost? What's happened in the mind? For Noah Presgrove, unfortunately, he didn't survive. So the damage report goes beyond the body literally, such as his personal possessions, which are an extension of him. The items which were on him at the time of his death, the location of where he was found, and then the contrast to the items that were left behind, and then possibly the understanding of, if there was foul play, what items were touched, moved, adjusted, manipulated, and which ones were just left naturally. See, I've done a video already on the black shorts, and there could well be an update on that, considering in recent time with the never seen before unedited photo of the bathroom pic involving Noah and Jack implied that Noah may have had another pair of black shorts with him. Trying to understand which pair were the ones that Noah wore up to a certain point, which pair were the ones that got damaged based on what Partners in True Crime saw, and which pair did Dalen Presgrove receive back? Which pair? But it doesn't look like it's just one. So more videos to come, unfinished business there. But whilst I've done an analysis on the condition of the black shorts and what could have caused that, given the events that followed at the party onwards, what about the chain necklace? We can do a bit of a rough timeline analysis to monitor what Noah was wearing and the condition of it throughout the time at the party, starting from Saturday all the way to Monday. But just take in mind, it's probably 1:05 from Caden Pressey's point of view is the latest when there was public footage of Noah Presgrove documented and shown. As for beyond that point, that's unknown. So there's a slight limitation, because anything past 1:05 is extremely important, because it's a step closer to the build-up of Noah's outcome and a step closer to the side-by-side rollover, the shower and all of that. There's a lot of questions you could ask yourself, and for those that may have them or answers, that's all welcome. Be sure to drop a comment down below under the video at any point when watching, and let me know your thoughts in regard to what do you think caused the damage to the chain necklace, and where it was found. Is it on par with where Noah Presgrove passed away? Or is it a situation of what happened to Noah elsewhere? Did the necklace chain break back there as well, or in different parts, different places? If you do have any live reactions, make sure to use the live chat box feature on the right side of the screen. If you'd like to catch up on recent coverage by me, including the other really deep videos, that's all available top right corner where the I symbol is up there. And if you want to support my channel during times of uncertainty, etc., only if you want to, there's a PayPal link below in the comment section, pinned message with the links there. With that all being said, the order of what we'll do today, I'm going to share with you a few little details in regard to the autopsy, a mention from an article to introduce this necklace chain as for discussions, because I've never done a separate video on it. Then we'll look at the party photos as like a little timeline analysis. And then we're going to transition into the psychology behind it. It's going to get very deep, but it's extremely important, right? And then we'll finish off with a Google Earth type map analysis on my thoughts in regard to what could have caused it and the location and all those questions. So feel free to settle back, listen in, and let's begin. What you're looking at on screen right now is a piece of the article from People when it referenced the case of Noah Presgrove. I wanted to focus in here on a little bit of a history in regard to this chain necklace, as in who Noah Presgrove received it from and the importance behind it. Now, just for the sake of it, I will read overall what's on screen, because there are other personal items and possessions of Noah. So whilst Noah Presgrove was unclothed, Noah only was wearing a pair of mismatched shoes, his Adidas one, which was black, on his left, and a Hey Dude on his right, which was Caden Pressey's, per the autopsy report. Debris and grass were stuck inside of the laces of each shoe, with more in the left shoe. Kind of interesting that. So Noah Presgrove's own shoe had more debris within it compared to Caden's. Interesting. In regard to when that dates back, that could be a separate event earlier on at the party, such as Sunday evening, when they were supposedly out in the field. And it was Alicia that suggested it, that when getting in and out of that vehicle, that Ford Ranger, maybe with the field having its own vegetation, some of the loose grass and bits got stuck inside of the shoelaces. That's a possibility, and they weren't removed later on. It might not be lots of debris, but a bit. Beside that, highlighted in red, a silver-plated chain necklace from Noah's grandmother, known as Deborah Smith, laid scattered in pieces not far near remnants of a tooth. Is there a connection between the chain and the tooth of Noah? As in, they both were damaged at the same time? Or they were already loose beforehand? And then with a knock, a nudge, or being dropped, moved, who knows? It caused it to fall, caused it to collapse and collect on the ground. His undamaged shorts were first seen about 30 yards away. Let's reiterate that now, that the shorts that were found and remained undamaged were the white ones, and they were not his. Noah was borrowing them from Jack Newton, white wrestling shorts. So that's why it's interesting, because we've already done a focus on it already. But for Noah Presgrove's personal black shorts to be damaged, as said by Partners in True Crime, the fact that when Noah was found dead, the only shorts that were present were borrowed ones, which he supposedly did wear at some point at the party, but because they weren't damaged, you'd expect them to be more damaged than anything that Noah wore previously before he died. Because you think any extreme damage done to Noah, his body, visibly, visually, internally, you'd think he'd be wearing some of that clothing at the same time, which would have taken on impact, friction, tearing, ripping, anything like that to cause visible, notable damage. But it is a pair of shorts that were undamaged, at least. Was Noah even wearing them when it happened? Were they in his hand? Were they added later? It's just a little bit unusual. Then it says, Jack, Noah's best friend, tells People that the shorts were actually borrowed from him. So at least it does include that. Of course, I'm just reading it bit by bit. And that Noah put them on after cleaning himself up following the ATV incident, meaning, after the shower. Some people have said online that the black shorts were left on the floor in the bathroom. But nevertheless, we are focusing in, that's what's highlighted in red, a silver-plated chain necklace. It was damaged, scattered in pieces. But what caused that? Because we need to understand some items and possessions can tear, rip, break, tarnish, etc. very easily. And other items aren't as malleable, aren't as fragile, and are quite strong. A silver chain necklace will have a level of resistance about it. In what way could it have been damaged exactly, and why? And, the psychology behind it, the symbolisms it can give off. If we look at the reality here, this is a news report from the past. In the middle, you have Robin Smith, one of the aunts to Noah. Then on the right, you have Deborah Smith, I believe. And it's Deborah Smith that supposedly gave Noah that chain necklace in the past, from the looks of it. With it being such a personal item and it being either handed down or gifted to Noah, it would have a special touch and a close place to maybe Noah's heart, hence why it was described that he would normally wear it at all times, or most of the time. Question is, did Noah follow through with that when at the party, when looking at the party photos? Well, we'll find out shortly, and we'll take a look. Because other items like his shirt or his hat, his sunglasses, they weren't always on Noah when at the party. Some things weren't added back or put back on, like his shirt or t-shirt, tank top. So maybe the hierarchical structure of not just evidence but personal possessions are treated differently amongst Noah Presgrove in how he handles it. But beside this part of the family, Robin and Deborah, you've also got the mother, the biological mother, Casey Smith. We've done some coverage on Casey in recent time, but there was one particular conversation in the background, more so when it came to the golf clubs. But the reason why I just wanted to add it in is because I'm not too sure myself who received the chain necklace. Was it Deborah Smith? Was it handed back to her because she supposedly gave it to Noah in the first place as a gift? Or did another family member receive it? When it came to other items which were handed over, not by police, and not because Noah was wearing or using them at the party, but more so clothing and items that were still at Deborah Smith's house where Noah was staying at the time, who received what exactly? And there is a conversation by Casey where she gave a little bit of context previously. Let's just take a look at it. So, Tree Flower is Casey Smith. Tree Flower is in the grey box, and then on the right in the blue box is someone else. And if we just zoom in for a second, September 26, 2024 at 6:50 p.m, someone had asked her, someone is claiming that you got Noah's golf clubs back from the party. Is that true? I don't believe the person, but I just wanted to verify it with you. Are you settling in at the new place? And on the 27th of September 2024, Casey said, no, I do not have the golf clubs. My mom and family would not even let me touch a single thing of my son's. They told me I did not deserve him as a mother. I was nothing. So it just goes to show that at the time back then, the victim's family was and could still be fragmented, Even before this event, it looked like there was fragmentation in the past, and then it opened up a more raw perspective, even publicly to an extent with what we've seen since. So when Casey says, my mom, referring to Deborah Smith, which is Noah's grandmother, wouldn't even let Noah's mum get first grabs on the possessions of Noah, whether that be from the party or it be from items of Noah from Deborah's house. And, supposedly the grandmother and some of the other family members told Casey I did not deserve him as a mother. Crazy, isn't it? Anyway, down below, what else do we have? Okay, well, that's interesting because Brooke Bounds Carter is telling everyone that you have them. More of their BS lies. I personally don't remember seeing Brooke Bounds Carter telling everyone that they've got the golf clubs. Could be wrong, but if anyone is watching right now, if you can provide an update or context, that would be useful. Casey had said, if I would have had them, I would have seen my son before he died. If they had the golf clubs out there at the party, there's no way in hell I would have them. As we saw and heard, they were taken to the party by Noah Presgrove when borrowing them from Dalen. With that being said, you can see the dynamics between the split within the family and the breakdown in communication. That's why I guess at times there have been misunderstandings with information and news, and some family members know more than others. And the reason why they're not on the same wavelength is because certain ties or emotional ties at one point in the past have or were severed. Things may have improved since, or they might down the line, but this is more historical, what's previously happened. And based on this, what Casey says, whilst the chain may have been from Deborah, the chances of Casey seeing or receiving it or gifted on, very unlikely, based on who gave it, and the same said person which Casey refers to as not letting her get first grabs of her son's items. So that being in mind, we get an idea. If we head on over to the autopsy report, circumstances of death, more so focused in the red box, of course, mentions where he was found, approximately 5:53 when found. It was 5:43 when the first call made, and then 5:53 when Tyler Hardy, the second guy. So Noah, unclothed, only wearing unmatching shoes. There was a pair of shorts, the white ones were reported to be his, but they weren't in the end. Additionally, there were 3 pieces of a white metal chain, or a silver one, as well as part of a tooth present several feet from Noah's body. And it goes on about a clump of hair as well, but as said, we are focusing in on the pieces of a white metal chain. So it was damaged. Would you say a certain level of force or impact and strain upon the chain for it to break, not just once, but in a couple of pieces? More so 3 pieces? It's interesting because depending on the action, chains can break into half, but any more than that and they become fragmented, how is that exactly caused? We could possibly run it through some analyzer afterwards, even use some additional tools to work out the possibilities. But I think a certain level of force and strain was put under that chain, whether it be at the time of when Noah was wearing it, or if it came off and then was broken. You got to look at it that way. I mean, a person could have a watch on their wrist and it could be smashed and damaged and it could still be on the wearer, the individual. Or it could be found on the ground damaged, and it may have been damaged after it landed on the ground, whether it be because it landed from a height or if someone trod on it, stamped on it, just like how they did with the victim. That's a separate example then. It's brought up once again, the external examination with Noah Presgrove. So in terms of the brown bags, one labelled shorts containing a pair of white printed shorts without observable damage, meaning there could have been stuff to it but not noticeable based on observations visually. So I guess like a stain could be considered damage, but it wasn't described as observable. So what type of non-observable damage could you get on the shorts then, if any? If you had surface level layer dust and dirt, which could easily be wiped off, brushed off, well, there's that. May have gone by the time it was processed. But yeah, highlighted in the red box, white metal chain, containing 3 pieces of white metal chains and tooth containing a broken half of a tooth consistent with a molar. Scalp hair was brown, eyes had white. Okay. So, just wanted to run it through the backstory of the chain, the significance of it, and then the significance of the damage done to it itself. Now, Noah Presgrove, whenever this was taken in the past, supposedly you can actually see him wear his chain necklace hair. And I say supposedly because I can see it, but, you know, over time he may have had another chain here or there. I think somewhere there was a photo of Noah with 2 chains, 2 necklaces. One may have been a cross and then another one was the silver. Worth taking that into consideration. But the reason why I wanted to show you this photo first is because this is very likely before the party and back in the past when everything was okay. It shows a timeline of how long he's had it for and how consistent he was, because the more times you're seen wearing something, the more committed you are to it. Like a ring, a piece of jewellery, and all of that. It holds a special place in your heart. You're more likely to keep it closer to you at all times, if necessary, if possible. So, that's what we're referring to. Hopefully you can see it centre of the screen. The supposed silver chain necklace. He may have had other ones in between and non-related, but let's just say this is the one the grandmother gave to Noah Presgrove. I mean, the chains, how it's interlinked with one another, the shaping of it. Is it a durable chain? Is it a fragile necklace? I wonder. Because depending on how it broke, whether it be on Noah at the time when wearing it or it came off, then broke. Depends. And would there be any noticeable surface level damage by the chain either rubbing or grazing or scraping or pressing into the skin, depending on if it was broken whilst he was wearing it? Kind of like the Rebecca Zahau case, but that was under different circumstances. So we've got Noah Presgrove there wearing the grandmother's white chain necklace. If we go to the party, what you see here is it is edited, and you might wonder why. Because just recently, this is the one YouTube was trying to shut down for unjustified wrong reasons. I've just had to censor it, but don't worry, the important part, what we're focusing in on, is circled in the red. And that's to do with the necklace chain. This is from the party. This is when Noah Presgrove was in the living room just behind Jack Newton. That blue colour, what you see centre of the screen there, that is Jack Newton's shorts, right? Now, there was some comments elsewhere going on about me, typical. Maybe we'll refer to that another time, but I just wanted to write what I did on screen because this is a piece of artwork, technically. I've covered and filled it in to make the important relevant points stand out more, which is the necklace and chain, not to be distracted by anything else in the background. This is for educational use, right? We're focusing in on the damage report of the necklace, the conditions and what may have caused it and how it impacted Noah in the process, whether it was targeted the same way Noah was, and so on. Hopefully people understand me. If you need more context, watch last night's video because it goes into more depth explaining the situation. But yes, this is the never seen before photo. It's zoomed in, it has been cropped. I just wanted to be honest with you. And the reason why it's cropped is because if it wasn't, YouTube will take it down and silence me. And we don't want that, do we? So I've got to be careful, just for context. But you can clearly see Noah is wearing the beige khaki shorts here, meaning it was taken Saturday. As for the time, the true timestamp, don't know. But this is just to set the scene that even on Saturday when Noah came on down to the party, he was visibly wearing that chain necklace. What you see highlighted there, the necklace around the neck area. A bit of a shine to it as well. Now, there were some photos at the party originally where I thought, was he wearing it? Did he take it off? And then other viewers reminded me that the glare that you see may not always be Sharpie pen. It may not be whipped cream. The glare and the shine could well be the light reflecting onto the silver white necklace, the chain itself. So sometimes it appears clearer in some photos compared to others. And in this one, you can clearly see it. And the condition of it, most importantly, is unbroken. Because, look, is there a possibility that did the chain necklace ever break when it came to the side-by-side rollover or onwards? Did the black shorts get ripped and torn, as like what Partners in True Crime said, during the side-by-side rollover? There may have been more damage to Noah's clothing and personal possessions than there was done to his own body at the time. You never know. If only we had another photo or imagery, video of, around this side-by-side rollover or post that. If anyone could reach out to me with the green thumbs up to share with me personally the side-by-side rollover, the video of it, the after effects, to know whether Noah was wearing his chain necklace in that moment, then we could determine possibly at what point he had it on and at what point it may have become broken. It doesn't always have to be associated with the death of Noah, but that's what we're dealing with at this moment because it was found broken on the highway. But when other people claim that Noah, what happened to him occurred elsewhere, what does that mean for the necklace chain itself? This one, I've got it in this particular order, possibly Sunday. It was Tim Daniel just recently that suggested this may not be from Sunday, but a different day. Now, Tim, if you're watching, drop a comment somewhere and let me know what day you think it could be on. If it's not a Sunday, what other day? Saturday? Monday? Even though it was said that Noah went to the party on Saturday to begin with, because no one ever really talks about Friday. Are there any photos from Friday? The beginning of the party, the beginning of the weekend and celebrations, I wonder. As I said here, this particular photo is the cropped one. No particular reason, it's just because we're focusing in on the chain area. I would have cropped the image more, but then again with YouTube and the chest area, I don't trust it, right? I'm playing it safe for now. But we've already seen the photo of Noah extended and the longer black shorts. Check my previous videos out for reference there. But you can clearly see Noah has the chain around his neck. You can see the silver shine to it. That could well be Sunday. It could well be at some point Saturday. But as we know, in the evening time, Noah was wearing on Saturday the beige khaki shorts. So was it earlier on Saturday during the morning time he was wearing the black longer shorts and his photo was taken? Or was it early on Sunday before Noah had left and then come back in the evening with a different pair of shorts, like a shorter pair of black shorts? You let me know what you think. Got to take into consideration what Jack Newton is wearing. If you can't quite figure out on what day Noah was wearing those particular black shorts, look at Jack Newton wearing his jeans and then look at additional days and party footage of what Jack was wearing. Jack on Saturday was wearing the blue shorts, what you see there, just behind Noah's body, okay? Very light teal blue coloured shorts. By the time it came to Sunday, Jack was wearing a pair of jeans. So could it be the timing of when Jack's wearing certain clothing? Noah is. And then at another point earlier, they've changed at the same time or close together. And you could interpret it that way, but the chain there appears undamaged and okay. This particular group photo, I don't know if we ever worked out what day this was on because we can't tell what shorts or clothing Noah is wearing. If it's beige, khaki, Saturday. If it's black, dark, maybe Sunday onwards. You got Jasmine wearing that greyish top, which could suggest Sunday onwards, because she was wearing that same looking top on the Monday when it came to the porch photo selfie. Can we see any wet patches, or is it just crease marks? It could just be crease marks. It's very hard to tell. As for hair, is the hair wet? Is it clean? Is it greasy? Hard to tell, because the other porch one, it was clearly post-shower of Noah Presgrove and with her assisting. But once again, focusing in on Noah Presgrove, chain. The chain is around the neck area. You can see the shine on it. And that's probably one of the more distinctive looking ones. It does appear clearer, the silver white chain. Very similar, probably the same as what you see there. That's good to know. Shows that consistency, it shows that devotion, it shows that pride, that importance to Noah himself in wearing it. It makes you wonder, at times of darkness, did he hold on to it with his dear life, metaphorically and literally speaking? It can go a lot deeper if you think about it. This one, 10:50 p.m. Sunday night, confirmed. As said, you got Jack Newton in the jeans and with the cap on. If Jack is wearing the jeans here and Jack was also wearing the jeans in the bathroom photo, could fall on the same day, right? With this being Sunday, the bathroom photo you'd think was on a Sunday as well, at the very least. Maybe earlier on in the day. Just that Noah's wearing the tighter, more fitted, above knee length shorts here, which is different to what he was wearing in the bathroom. As for the chain necklace, this is the one particular photo where it's kind of hard to see if he's wearing the chain or not. Might have been another angle where it was the side profile, where he was closer to Georgia, I think. It may have shown. Just from this particular angle, you can't quite see. Despite that, upon this slide, which was described as 2 minutes after this, Noah Presgrove was visibly seen with the chain necklace around him. If you wonder why there's a portion of this cut out, it's just so we can focus in on the center point in the circle. And I don't trust YouTube yet again, right? I don't trust YouTube and its broken guidelines, so I'm not hiding anything important. We're focusing in on the actual important bit. That line around the neck is his necklace and chain. So it goes to show Saturday onwards he was wearing it, and it never seemed to have left him. Even when it came to 1:05 in the morning of Monday, once again, it's not as clear, but you can see the shine reflection of it. That's the necklace, the chain, where those little shimmers are. So, there is a little bit down there. I think I don't know what that is, that little white bit, but the shine there around the neck is a chain necklace. And it might not show clearly here, but it does from different angles, just for context. But, yeah, I don't know, that's like a reflection of some sort. But it's kind of good to know that Noah was wearing it throughout the party. So nothing bad, dodgy happened up to that point of 1:05 in the morning, but the real question is, what happened later on Monday before Noah walked away? The symbolisms of a necklace, a chain, a bracelet, a piece of jewelry can be priceless, and the memory it can forge and have is beyond. It can imply the symbolisms of infinity, especially when it's connected all as one and it's a continuous loop. What Noah Presgrove had was either given as a gift, present, handed down by a family member, Deborah Smith, someone that Noah Presgrove was somewhat close to physically by living there at the time at her house, and even emotionally to an extent. Whilst Deborah may have not been the mother to Noah, still a family member, there would be an emotional tie. And by being given something, like an item, a necklace, to yourself, it will remind you of them. So whenever you wear it, whenever you feel it around you, it's like a symbolism for the care or the love or the acknowledgement of someone that you know of. You hold them very closely to your heart, just like how the chain of the necklace is wrapped around you in a, I don't know if you can use the term intimate, but within a heartwarming way. It doesn't always have to be amongst family members. It could be friends, it could be loved ones, significant others. It doesn't always have to be a chain necklace. It could be for anyone. It could be earrings, it could be a bracelet, it could be a watch, it could be a favorite top. Something personal which was gifted to you, which you value above other things. And because it's higher up on the hierarchical structure, you're more likely to prioritize it, such as when wearing it as an accessory, a piece of clothing. You may take it around with you wherever you go. If you're further away, physically, emotionally distant from someone you care about, by wearing that necklace and chain, for example, you're never really leaving that person you care about or think of. Whenever that material rubs and presses against your skin, it's like a sensory reminder that they're always there, they're never lost. You know, that can be interpreted when people are present and even when people are no longer. It doesn't always have to be something materialistic. It doesn't always have to be an object. It could be something that's been imprinted upon yourself, like a tattoo, a drawing on your body. If it was a name, an initial of someone, a family member, a friend, etc., and you wear that on your skin, you know, like how people say you wear or paint your heart upon your sleeves. It's like literally meaning that the ink that you have on your skin, you wear it with pride, you wear it with honor, and it always reminds you of the people most closest to you. And when it's especially upon the skin and the ink has been, you know, seeping under the skin, that under the skin element implies a deeper significance and role that said individual has within your life or once in the past. Now, whereas you can say an item, an object, a gift, a print upon the skin is sacred and valued, it may not always hold that weight. If things ever went wrong, any dark turns, or any ties were severed, a person may no longer associate certain items or gifts with happier times. Things might have happened which has then tarnished the reputation, tarnished the value of a certain gift or item. And it can lead to disconnecting, disassociating from it, no longer wearing that ring, no longer wearing that gifted chain necklace, no longer wearing that bracelet, regardless of gender, no longer wearing that watch, avoiding it, maybe keeping it because it serves as a little bit of a memory and reminder of positive times, but not truly wearing it because you don't want to honor a dark past. You don't want to honor something dark, something that may have caused trouble or any pain. But it's hard to truly get rid of and throw it away because there's still that feeling of when it was once given, it was given at a positive time by a good person. And some people, kind of like as a self-defense mechanism, will hold on to something that's close to them or once was. They hold on to something which may have been tarnished with time and become dark, and in some ways they may feel the slight urge to want to discard the item, but then it means totally admitting to everything that happened was all for what exactly. And that can be a scary thought for some people, especially if any time, effort, energy, anything was consumed and put into the presence of someone or some people, a group, a setting, an environment. As a defense mechanism, the mind may hold on to physical items as a memory, but only remember it for the good times and the positive moments, even if the darkness outweighed the light. Even if there was more darker days than good days, that a person that has been consumed by darkness and knows very well about it and the effects that it can have, the item can be a painful memory and a trigger, but at the same time, the mind, the self-defense mechanisms, whether that be rose-tinted glasses, it's trying to do a form of damage limitation mentally as a means of holding on to the one positive moment when it was okay, when a person was nice or kind, because the mind can't come to the realization that it may have been mostly bad because that's too painful. Trying to protect oneself within. As bad as a past may be, there may have still been good moments, positive moments, and it's okay to hold on to them within reason as a means of self-regulation, self-protection. For Noah Presgrove, this chain and necklace did not serve as a negative reminder from the looks of it. It may have served more as a strength and a form of care, a form of being looked after. So for Noah Presgrove to wear it with him almost all the time around his neck, he honoured that and he valued it. But because of how it was found, whether you call it discarded because it wasn't around him, and damaged, what really caused that? Well, in other circumstances, like I said with examples, if a person did discard an item, something personal, or they overwrit history, overwriting history by a print, a mark upon your skin, you get it removed, you get it covered up with something else. There are different methods and means. You might have a print on your neck, on your arm, on your thigh, on your chest, wherever, and it could resemble something. It could be a symbol or it could be an initial. Part of the mind wants to move on and move forward, but every time you look in the mirror or you look down, you're reminded of something that's imprinted on you and worn and under your skin, resembling and valuing someone from the past. But if that someone from the past is no longer a happy moment, a positive time, it's more of a darker piece of history. Some people want to remove it completely and other people want to overwrite it, because the past is important, but the present is just as important. And the crossover and the transition of being able to move on within reason at a person's own pace and flow, that they have the choice to make the changes visually, psychologically, whether that be severing ties with an object or a print, whether it be overwriting the past with a new present under a person's own terms. An example of that would be without discarding the past, because that can be painful and difficult too. You may want to neglect the negatives and the bad moments. You want to forget and push it away. Sometimes it's possible, and other times it can be more hurtful because it feels like everything is being discarded. And for the amount of effort, time, blood, sweat, and tears you put into something or an environment, for it to all be discarded, it feels like the positives are being discarded and your own self-worth and your own self-actions are just being neglected and forgotten about. And it shouldn't have to be that way. So you negotiate, you acknowledge the past, you acknowledge the present. And if it was a print, instead of just discarding, getting it removed with a laser, instead you write over it with a new chapter, a new story in your life, which could be, if there was a face, if there was a name, if there was an initial, if there was like a symbol, and you no longer wanted to associate with it anymore. You no wanted to look at it as a dark reminder. Instead, you wanted something else to be there in place, metaphorically speaking, something new in your life and something that you can welcome without the past in holding you back. You could turn an initial, a name, a face, and cover it with something completely different, such as a butterfly. The wings are open and fluttering, meaning spreading the wings and opening out to a new chapter. Or if it be a chain of roses that cover over the past, refreshing the air and the atmosphere, filling it with a sweet scent and not a bitter taste no more. That the colour of the roses outshine the darkness, and the thorns and the stems intertwine, connecting a stronger bond to something or a stronger purpose within. That is what it can lead to. With Noah Presgrove, it being a physical item and that more associated with a positive, the chain, necklace, like a bracelet or a ring, is one continuous thing. Whilst it might unhook and detach, metaphorically, as a symbolism, when it's connected as a chain and one piece all the way around, it's like infinity. So a memory or a person that you relate to or are remembered by because of that item that was gifted to you, you wear it because you want to and you're happy to wear it, to feel it, to be reminded of someone. And that continuous loop highlights its infinity. So whether that be as a form of care, remembering someone, loving someone, it's forever. It never ends. If some people like to push the idea that good times or good things don't last forever, well, some technically do to the end of time if it's like a physical object and if it's protected and, looked after itself. This is the thing. With it being damaged on the highway, was it damaged there or was it damaged elsewhere? And what caused it exactly? Was it Noah himself? I would argue and say it's quite unlikely. Because it was broken into 3 pieces, it makes it more significant. It wasn't just one simple tug. If it broke into half or it just detached to an extent, you could have grabbed the chain like that and pulled it off. Maybe not so much Noah doing it, but someone else. Now, the thing is, certain items and possessions can break, can be discarded, but that's likely by the actions of the wearer, the one that had it themselves. Like if you had or you were given a bunch of flowers, and if you didn't like it or you didn't like the person because it was a bad apology or it was too late, you might get those flowers and then shove them in the bin or chuck them outside or cut them up or just hand them to a stranger because you don't want to associate with them. Whilst the flowers are nice, it's a reminder of someone you don't like and that overshadows it. If you've got a necklace and you've had an argument with someone or you've been disowned or something bad has happened, you no longer want to associate with that necklace because it reminds you of that person. So you sever your ties literally with someone and also symbolically with that necklace by yanking it off without even undoing it, and it snaps, it breaks, or taking it off and then slamming it down on the ground, stomping on it, crushing it, and so on. But would Noah Presgrove have done anything like that of that sort? Probably not. So we do have the AI tool, which gives a bit of an explanation in regard to what could have caused it to break into 3 pieces. There might be some additional reasons, and you're always welcome to share them in the live chat box on the right side of the screen. That is possible. But is there anything else that I need to touch upon? It's just the act and the condition that it was found in. It's bad enough finding someone obviously dead and the extreme injuries sustained to the person, but it's also just as impactful when a valuable, priceless item, which is very close to the wearer, they value it a lot, and yet the condition that it was found in isn't good. When something so valuable and precious becomes broken, what does that do for the wearer, the one that was in ownership of it? Did they let it break? Did they want it to break? Probably not. Was it against their will? Maybe. Was it by the hands of someone else? See, in other situations, symbolically, there can be a psychological negative effect when if there was the presence of another person about or a group, if they snatched something valuable off of you, stealing it or worse, taking it from you, then breaking it in front of you. That can have a psychological impact. You know, you might see it in TV shows and movies where a person may have the only last memory of a person who's no longer present. It could be a photograph, it could be in a pendant, it could be a little handwritten letter or postcard. They keep it close to their heart, such as in the jacket pocket. And sometime they're looking at it, another person comes on by, snatches it off them, looks at it, makes some jokes, and then rips it in half in front of the other person. Just imagine the psychological damage that can do in the moment. The last known memory of someone that you care about, now it's gone because of someone else. For Noah Presgrove, the stakes weren't as high because Deborah Smith was still present upon this earth, and Noah had probably many other ways of remembering her and being able to visit her because that's where he lived. This is what I mean. You've got to also take in mind the psychological impacts and effects on different situations with different items of value. An item could be considered more priceless and more close to the wearer if it's the only thing that they have which belongs to a previous person or was given by a previous person who you thought a lot of. If that's the only thing that you have, the only memory that you have, you keep it closer, you hold on to it tighter. And then if that's broke, then issues. For Noah Presgrove, still an important item just because of the fact that he was known to wear it all the time or most of the time. And as we saw in the photos of the party, he was wearing that most of the time, if not all, whilst at the party. I mean, the only question you could ask yourself is, was Noah wearing it when he was in the shower? Not too sure. Because one of the possible factors was water damage, chemical damage, could weaken the structural integrity of the chain, weakening it. Then if there's any blows, knocks, any tugging, it being caught, snagging, it could end up leading to it breaking in multiple pieces, more than one piece, because it's more weakened all over and not just in one place. See, if you used to rip it off or someone pulled it off, the force and the impact is going to be more focused on a certain area where it's weaker. And one of the weaker points of like a necklace chain could well be where both connect together, the little things, right? That's where it connects, disconnects, and if it's pulled, that's going to receive the jolt, and then eventually it's going to snap. You think of it, an elastic band, that's all one thing, and it's all, well, mostly equal in its resistance and strength, but it's under a certain load, pressure, and strain. When pulled, it can eventually snap. One side of the band could be weaker than the other, depending on what's happened to it, what it's been exposed to, how it's been handled. The same with a necklace chain, but normally with a necklace chain, there will always be a weak point to begin with where it can connect and disconnect, as in the little balls or whatever you call it. But of other areas on that chain necklace can become damaged with time. The reason why this is so important, really, is because it appears to have been on Noah at the time of his death, so it tells a story. And considering that the autopsy report, that's deemed as kind of like a mystery as in Noah's death, and people are still trying to work it out till this day. Why not look at the damage report of the clothing that was associated with Noah at the scene, the lead up to his death, and how that could have told a story. Damage to one item, is that what caused the damage to Noah's body? I mean, it was like grazes, scrape marks, friction on a part of the body. If Noah was to be wearing clothing in that area at the time, the clothing would have made contact with whatever before the skin, the muscles and the bone. It would have acted as a very, very poor, light layer of protection. Just like if someone shot you and you survived it, you might get a bit of bruising or a broken rib. You go through the layers of a jacket, a shirt, and then under that, a bulletproof vest, a ballistic vest. Then under that, maybe a top. Then under that, the skin. And then under that, the bone or muscle. And then under that, the other internal parts. The more layers, the more it's going to slow down that projectile, absorb it, slow it down. So when it does eventually reach your, important areas, it may not penetrate because it's been slowed down. It's been caught within the bulletproof vest. But once it hits the vest, that force still going inwards and the vest itself pressing inwards, it can cause a bit of bruising on the surface level, or it could cause the odd fracture or break within, depending on the caliber and the force of the bullet, and maybe the closeness or the farness of it when it's done, and the layer of protection of the vest, as in what it is deemed bulletproof and what's beyond that limit. So you got to take that into consideration. So if there's any final points, I'll add on later, but let me just share with you now the examples of how a chain can become weaker and how it can break. Here we are. So this tool that's being used, Google AI, take that into consideration with what we're reading. Of course, another factor that needs to be considered is the actual quality of the necklace chain. If it's something well known or branded, it might be made and built to last. If it was something cheaper, it may not be as structurally sound. But always remember, the true value of the chain isn't determined by the price tag, but the depth and backstory behind it and who it was given to and who it was given by. That means more. As for the details here, a silver necklace, in regard to similarities with Noah Presgrove, breaking into multiple pieces usually indicates widespread structural weakness rather than a single accidental tug, similar to what I was explaining earlier. Whilst a single snap often results from a sudden pull, multiple breaks typically occur due to the following factors down below. So the reason why it's important to acknowledge that is, if it was one single break, it could link to whether Noah caught it on something, and that is what partially was the beginning of his death, maybe, if something caught on him and then he was dragged or pulled out of something, right? Or foul play, like someone grabbed his neck or grabbed his chain, pulled it off, or pulled him with it, and then that led to the beginning of a fight. It doesn't seem to be that way. Factors to consider which could cause structural weakening overall: chemical corrosion and brittle metal. Harsh chemicals, exposure to chlorine, pools, hot tubs, bleach, or heavy sulfur can corrode the metal at a deep level. Unlike surface tarnish, severe chemical reactions can make the silver alloy brittle, causing it to shatter or snap in several places simultaneously. Did that happen to Noah Presgrove? Now, some people previously were pushing the idea of Noah being washed down, bleach being used to clean up. Was any bleach used on Noah's body? Was any bleach in contact with Noah's necklace by any chance? As for chlorine, the pool, hot tubs, well, it just so happens at the time, at that party house, round about the pasture, there was a swimming pool. Whether it was in use or not, whether it was filled up, whether chlorine was within the water, if Noah Presgrove had jumped into that pool at any time, exposure to the chemicals and the necklace was submerged in the water, that could have played a part. But I think it would have to be a strong chemical in a short space of time to weaken it, unless it's over the course of months, weeks, previous parties. and the exposure of that chain necklace to other environments. Maybe it might not just all fall back in on this one party, it could link back to previous ones. We've got to take that into consideration. Next, cosmetics and sweat. Daily contact with perfumes, hairsprays, lotions, and natural acidity of your skin can gradually weaken soldered links across the entire chain. And considering Noah was wearing that necklace, around the neck where a lot of sweat can collect when it comes to, the head, the hair, the back, the neck, the sides of the neck, the front. As sweat runs down the face and down the neck, it can collect and it a little bit absorbed onto the necklace chain. And the more you sweat and the more often you sweat, it can speed up that, wear and tear of the necklace chain, making it weaker with time. And considering that at the party which Noah was at, the humidity, the warmth and the heat, considering that Jack Newton appeared to have sunburn on his arms, you can imagine the heat levels when there, and sweating too. So Noah Presgrove could have been sweating a lot and the chain was exposed to that sweat. Funny how we're talking about sweat when we've got Brylan sweat on the right. But that aside, these are some examples to take in mind. Whilst it might not explain the cause of death just yet, or the true action of it breaking, this explains the backstory behind how it can become weaker. So you could still apply it, that the necklace chain could have been tugged, pulled, an accidental catch caught on something, and it could have broken into multiple pieces if it's already weakened in other areas besides the usual point where the two pieces of chain connect together. Other factors: manufacturing and design defects. Faulty soldering. The links were not soldered correctly during manufacturing. The bonds may be weak throughout the chain. This can cause multiple links to pop open under even minor tension. Thin or delicate links. Extremely fine designs like Singapore or thin cable chains have very little metal to begin with. Small amounts of wear at multiple points can lead to several simultaneous failures. Based on the quality and the strength of the chain, do we have any clear photos? That one. Does that look the chain thick enough to you? We probably can get a better example of it like there. Give me a second, zoom in. The chain, the necklace there. Is that strong enough? Is it bonded well, interlocked together, the chains and links? Is it strong quality? Is it thick material? That one there. Or is it quite thin? To be honest, it looks like there's a lot of small interlocking chains, and the more of them, and if they are thin, it could be a little bit more delicate. Not every piece of jewellery is built to last or built under extreme conditions. Jewellery can be delicate at times, just how it's made and the purpose that it's for. Delicate jewellery can be a symbolism itself, as in you handle it with care and it'll be okay. So you let me know in the comment section, do you think the chain necklace, the silver one that Deborah Smith gave to Noah Presgrove, was it structurally sound, strong enough? You got to take in mind, I think the necklace chain which was handed over may have been in the family for a bit of time previous. I don't know how far it dates back, but if something is already aging and old, it has more value, sentimental value and meaning there, but at the cost of wear and tear. Deborah Smith may have had that necklace chain before, but did she wear it? Did another family member wear it? Was it bought as a present for Noah? Was it brand new? Was it old? I'm not too sure. The older it is, the more weaker it could be with time, wear and tear, and the more it's worn by different people, wear and tear. But beside these factors, what you see on screen, what else do we have? We've got the mechanical stress and metal fatigue. Sleeping in jewellery Tossing and turning whilst wearing a chain can create multiple kinks and high tension points. Repeated bending in different spots leads to metal fatigue, where the silver eventually snaps at every weakened point. Overloading, wearing a pendant that is too heavy for a delicate chain stretches the links along the entire length. This widespread stretching creates multiple thin spots that may fail at once. Now, beside the chain necklace, I don't know if there was anything attached to it, like a cross, a pendant, a medal, things like that. It might just be in a chain. And if it's just a chain, there's nothing weighing it. But in terms of movement and strains and under pressure, it would have to be either crushed or pulled, yanked, twisted, caught on something, then twisted, and so on. Abrasive wear, dirt and grit. Very important factor this, considering when at the party house with the dirt road, the gravelled road, and it being rural, off-roading, any contact made with the ground, that's to consider. So fine particles of sand or dirt trapped between the links act like sandpaper, grinding down the metal from the inside. If the necklace is rarely cleaned, this internal erosion happens uniformly, causing multiple links to wear thin and break. Now, I tried typing it in very vaguely because to enter in all the specific details it would take forever, and if you enter too many details into the AI, it will give up on you and it will crash, as experienced by myself. Even AI can't even handle Warlight Wrath with all his specific questions and answers and all that. But yeah, I just said, if a person was found dead and their chain necklace was beside them in 3 pieces, what could have caused the necklace to break? And it said, based on common forensic investigation and jewellery-related causes, a chain broken into 3 pieces found next to a deceased person could be caused by several factors, ranging from accidental to criminal. A chain typically breaks into multiple pieces, often the clasp, it connects together, and the 2 sides of the chain under high tension or physical force. But it could also break in other areas besides the clasp if other areas were structurally weakened with time, based on the factors that we have read. So if it requires a level of high tension and physical force, can that be linked to the intensity of the blunt force that Noah endured on his body, that both occurred at the same time? Would you agree? Or did one break before the other? Did one break before Noah had even died? Before he even walked away from the party? It makes you think. I mean, considering the necklace chain broke into multiple pieces, most of the damage, or the more visible one, was like the scalp area above, higher up. But if you're talking about the neck area, the vertebrae, and internally decapitated, does any of that link with the chain in some way? Now, a chain probably wouldn't be enough to break bones within. That's my guess, because it will give. If it was a different type of material, and I'm being careful with how I word this because I don't want YouTube to shut me down, with the Rebecca Zahau case, because she was found over the balcony and a form of, do I say the word, rope was present. The rope wasn't damaged or it didn't snap, but neither did her internal neck area and bone. That did not break. And there was a fall height grate of 9 foot, I believe, or more. So really, there should have been breakages, but there wasn't. And that's a bit of an anomaly. But other times when people may have, or someone else has done it to someone, that dropped that force and then that material around and under the neck area can cause breakages within. Chain necklace, at the most, if you pulled it one way or a different way, it could have caused it to cut or dig into the skin, leaving a bruising or red mark or a slight cut. Or if there was like fine wire or thread used, that could really dig into skin, but it may snap or it it may cut more than it does break stuff within, if that makes sense. More likely that if a chain was to be pulled or caught or snags it, it's more likely to break before it actually breaks the person within. As my interpretation of the chain is already slightly weakened, then it's going to break quicker and do less damage to the person. I think some had said that there was markings around Noah's neck area. I can't remember in the autopsy, but if there was any red marks, any lines around the neck, that could be caused from the chain. So depending when injuries occurred around the time, maybe it links to a certain story unfolding. Potential causes for a necklace breaking into 3 pieces: violent struggle or assault, a sudden violent yank on the necklace in a struggle or a scene in cases involving fatal neck injury, strangulation, can cause the chain to snap in multiple places, such as both sides of the pendant and the clasp. Medical emergency with sudden fall. If the person suffered a heart attack or a seizure, a sudden fall or involuntary hand movement grasping the neck area could break a delicate chain. Involuntary movement, grabbing onto it, pulling it accidentally, a reflex. Okay. Accidental snagging. The chain could have gotten caught on a piece of furniture, clothing, or equipment, causing it to break when the person tried to move away, or it pulled away itself. As you go one way, the other thing remains in place and it pulls in different directions, and that strain and tension causes something to break, which is the chain first. How does that tie in with Noah, though? What could it have caught on with Noah exactly? Structural failure over time. If the chain was already worn, had weak links, or had damaged, brittle or broken clasp, jump rings, a minor pull could cause it to break into multiple pieces. Fair enough. Environmental physical factors. Rare cases such as the 2025 case where a man was killed by a strong magnetic field, an MRI machine, pulling a heavy metal chain. The sudden intense force can snap a chain instantly. Well, I think that applies to Noah Presgrove in a rural area. Key factors for investigation: the chain style. Delicate chains, rope, snake break more easily than sturdy ones. Break points. Forensic analysis can determine if the breaks were clean, sudden snap, or if the metal was stretched, which indicates long-term weakness. So a sudden snap, sudden break, when it's more structurally sound, there's a greater level of physical force, a form of violent movement in the moment. But longer-term weakness from the past, or if it means longer-term weakness in the moment, more dragged out as in pulling or stretching, that could be considered slightly unusual. So, with that being said, we probably should go on to Google Earth now so I can just add on with a bit of an analysis, try and figure out where it broke at least. The particular project that I'm using for this probably best suits it, because if we're talking about physicality, the physical nature of a chain doesn't just magically break into thin air. There's got to be an action, there's got to be a pull, a push, a tug, a form of movement by the hands of the individual, someone else, or an object, twisting and turning. Events that happened at the party, whether that links to Noah's chain necklace breaking, or it's an example of what could have happened in a different way onwards when Noah walked away. We also need to acknowledge any other factors and variables which could have caused a chain to break, or at least weaken with time. Even any forms of physicality that you see on screen involving Noah Presgrove, as cluttered and busy as this may be, you know, the more Noah Presgrove gets involved in any forms of fighting, messing about, playing, did anyone ever tug on Noah's necklace and chain? Did it ever go wrong? It makes you think. First, we should start off with a particular event which Brooke Bounds-Carter has mentioned a few times now about the river trip. That Noah Presgrove, from Saturday till Monday, on and off, went down to the Red River and played in the water. That's a major factor for potential chemicals in the water weakening the structure of the chain necklace itself. And it doesn't have to be this one time. It could have been over the course of days when constantly going back, submerging in the water, contact being made with the chain, the water itself. and any other time in the past, previous parties. It doesn't have to just be a river. Whilst you can't see it on screen here, if you go back to 2022 Bing satellite imagery, and from what Brooke Bounds-Carter and some other people said, around the back of the party house there was decking and a swimming pool. If the swimming pool was ever used at the party, and if there was chlorine within the water, depending on the level, quantity of it, that could have played a certain role, an agent in speeding up the process in weakening the chain necklace. BBC did mention that there was different ways to get to the Red River, and one way I suggested was if you go west past the party house, down the dirt or gravel road, and turn off here and go through one of the gates into the north field, you take a turn off based on following the track marks which go through the different gates or fences, clear track marks which run down here, and you follow it to this little crossroad. That way is towards the sandplank crossing, and this way goes across the Texas border, and you keep following it this way, then right, and you go all the way down. Eventually you'll meet the Red River here. Now I'll see if I can find some street view imagery just whilst we narrate over this, because you don't really see the true water levels here because it looks pretty dried up. But Noah Presgrove playing in the Red River with some other party goers. Was there any visual proof of that at any given point? Let's head on to maybe this area here as part of the Red River, or connecting on to it more so, just as an example, right? The water quality, colouring of it, would it have looked like that at the time? I mean, not if it's like a stupid question, but is that why it's called Red River, because of the colour of it, by any means? But just use this as an example, because we can't use any other imagery in the moment. If you had something like this, further on that way, of course, and you got Noah Presgrove playing in the water, right? That type of water. Any type of river water is going to have probably higher salt contents and other chemicals within. Salt content, salt water, other chemicals can lead to things being eroded, abrasions, friction and movement. Could be one of the causes and reasons as to why writing on Noah Presgrove's body was washed off at some point, or it played part of a role in it being sped up, the process of the writing being eroded with time. Contact made with the water, water splashing on the skin, the salt water contents making contact with the ink on the skin and wearing it away. Maybe we're scrubbing the body in between, or hands or clothing material brushing against the water to the skin, speeds it all up. If that's the impact it can have, and depending on the depth of the water and how far Noah Presgrove is within it, and if water is splashed up on the body area, is it possible that the water content that was met with Noah's skin was met with Noah's chain necklace? If Noah was known to wear it most of the time and wherever he goes, was Noah wearing his chain necklace over the course of days when going down to the Red River? If you're not planning on submerging yourself in the water and it's only like waist high, knee high level, right, you might keep the necklace chain on because you don't worry or fear losing it. But still, even if you're in shallow water, at the edge, at the bank, on the beach area, whatever you want to call it, if any water is splashed on you by another person messing about, that splashed water can make contact with the necklace. That erosion, that silver, the tarnishing, the chemicals, and any dirt, grit or sand on the bank, the beach area, or bits of sediments within the water could land upon the chain and in between, and it can grind and it can wear it down. You know, it can weaken it. It may not be the true event that caused it to truly break or the moment it broke, but it was a part of the puzzle, as in how it became weaker. So a simple tug, a simple snag could cause it to break into multiple pieces if it was already weakened from before. And this is an example of it. Just let me know in the comment section if you agree or if it makes sense to you. Maybe the water changes in colour or the quality of it is different in different areas, but still, playing in water with the contents and the possible chemicals within it could cause damage to a necklace, could cause damage to like any form of jewellery in a way. And the more times you do it, the more frequent, the more likely, and the more chances it's going to speed up the process of it breaking and weakening, more so weakening, okay? I've not seen any footage, photos or snaps from Red River, which is unusual. But beside that, if we come back to the party house, what do we have here just to learn what's going on? Yeah, these are side things. Oh yeah, not that the marker's there for where it happened, but it was just put there as just to fit it in. 2:40 in the morning, supposedly, is what Kane said, the timestamp of the rollover. Maybe it happened later. But my question is, did the side-by-side rollover cause the chain necklace to become damaged? If Noah's black shorts got torn or ripped, if Noah was wearing the white shorts when he walked away and that's when he died, then if he was wearing the black shorts earlier, some other event must have caused the black shorts to rip and tear based on what Partners in True Crime say. Even though Alicia, Caden's mum, said what Partners in True Crime said was wrong, which is very unusual. Partners in True Crime said they saw the black shorts with their own eyes and they could see the visible damage. But Alicia, did she see the shorts? Because she's saying they were never damaged. But anyway, if Noah truly was wearing white shorts when he left, it means he was wearing the black shorts earlier. And if it's true that the black shorts or a pair of shorts were damaged and ripped, they must have been as a result of a different event and not the one leading to Noah's death. So with the broken necklace chain, is there any link with that? Of course, you have to consider there is one variable which does separate it. What was found at the scene is also what was found broken. And we need to figure out, was it broken at the scene or was it broken earlier on? If it was broken earlier on, it would have already fallen off the body. For it to be collected or found at the highway, that would imply possible foul play. Just want to make that clear. But any fights, even the side-by-side roll, if the chain necklace got caught on the vehicle or when falling out or when it rolled over, it may have not broken it, but it may have weakened and stretched the chain, the interlocking chains possibly. So shaned and slapping Noah Saturday, that wouldn't have caused the necklace to break or weaken from the looks of it. What else? Aggressive, pushing. Yeah, so 12 a.m. past midnight, early Sunday morning, Noah yelling at Jack, Jack having a go at Noah. Supposedly it was aggressive and there was pushing and shoving from what a particular J person says. But that pushing and shoving, did it involve any grabbing like the necklace chain? Because that could have caused it to not break, but weaken in the moment, maybe. Set that into mind. What else do we have? A threat there, but that's not physical. What about when Noah Presgrove was wrestling Mikey Lair Sunday evening? Form of physicality, maybe messing about. But was Noah Presgrove wearing his necklace chain when wrestling Mikey? Because it could get in the way. You know, as it's dangling or swinging about, it could be an obstruction. Sometimes people roll the sleeves up, people take their watches off, take their jewellery off before they get into a fight because they don't want to damage that item. Did Noah Presgrove take his chain necklace off before wrestling Mikey, or was it worn whilst fighting? And depending on how it went, did Mikey ever grab Noah's necklace chain accidentally? Could it have been used as a form of dirty wrestling? You know what I'm saying? Mikey, Sunday evening, when he fish hooked Noah Presgrove, was it only fish hooking or did it involve any grabbing of the necklace chain? I wonder. Brylan slaps Noah. Noah asks for it. Physical contact, yes, but it was only a slap. No damage to the chain at that point, visually as well when looking at the photos. Bedroom debacle. Chasing after Noah. Any physicality? Jack and Noah argue supposedly, but from the wrongful death lawsuit, it was Jack and Avery versus Noah, verbal fight, not physical. Noah walks off 3:30. Was he followed? Argument with the porch. Jack and Avery argue with Noah. These events, possibilities to try and figure out, was any of this that weakened the chain necklace? So, by the time Noah Presgrove had walked away, or before that, because it needs to be acknowledged, the other question that I have is, besides Noah playing in the Red River, possibly with the necklace chain still around him, which could have led to erosion and breakage of the chain, the strength of the interlocking links of the chains, what about when Noah Presgrove was having a shower? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at the party house back at Whalers with Deborah Smith. Did Noah Presgrove wear his necklace when he was in the shower? When Noah was a bit groggy or disorientated and needed assistance after the side-by-side rollover, was Noah still wearing the necklace by that point? When the girls escorted him into the house, into the bathroom, the shower, did they keep his necklace on or did they take it off? Because if it was kept on, maybe the temperature of water could have a strain and impact on the material, depending, and just the water content as well, weakening it in some sense. I don't think it's quite the case here, but sometimes hot, cold temperatures, sudden changes can impact the strength of an object. In some circumstances, I think when you're forging a blade, you heat it up beyond the point, melting point, whatever. Really heat it up, glows, and then you dunk it into a bath of, is it oil? I don't know if the temperature is cold or not, and it strengthens the blade under those circumstances. But in other situations, if you had a glass or a bowl, extreme heat met with extreme cold, it can cause it to shatter or break. So I'm just thinking when it comes to certain metal, depending on the quality, the strength, the thickness, temperature changes could cause issues as well, making it a bit weaker besides chemicals. Considering that, after the shower, after the bedroom debacle, if Noah's walking away, do we actually know whether Noah was wearing his chain necklace when walking off? He may have been found on the highway with the necklace, even if it's broken and beside him, but was it with him at the time of his death? Maybe. But where the necklace chain broke, if that was at the highway, is that where Noah ended up passing away to? Or did something happen to Noah on site at the party house property? And what I want to know is, the people that believe that Noah had died on the party house property, do you agree? Do you think that the chain and necklace broke into 3 pieces on the property as well? Because if it did, it would mean anything Noah was wearing or had with him at the time of his death would have been picked up along with the body and taken to the highway down here and disposed of. So we've gone to Street View imagery. No mention in the autopsy of touch-based DNA, so if Noah was moved on as a form of foul play, people would have had to have been wearing gloves, so there was no DNA or prints upon Noah. And I'm just thinking, if there was foul play, moving the body from one place to another, I would expect the chain and necklace to have been moved as well. If that's the case, when Noah is placed or dumped onto the side of the road under those circumstances, why was the odd loose tooth out of Noah's mouth and on the ground? Is it because of when Noah was dropped to the ground, because a tooth already loose inside of the mouth, because of damage sustained elsewhere when being knocked onto the floor? Here was the nail in the coffin for something loose coming out of the mouth by that point. But was the necklace and chain broken or not if Noah was disposed of along the highway? Staging it, as some say, as a hit and run or another cause of death. What happened with the necklace and chain? Did it break the moment Noah died? Did it break afterwards? Was it broken by someone else? Was it broken at the time of a fight? It's trying to work that out, because certain damage to certain items could connect. The severity of the damage reported at the autopsy, and then the severity of certain objects under strain and tension that could break or would need to be applied in order to break if the chain wasn't already weakened, could imply there was an equal level of force or impact applied to Noah. If Noah Presgrove was crushed by an object, ran over, could a chain break under those circumstances? If a chain is flat or flat-ish with the surface level of the ground, it's probably not going to really break exactly because it's already flat. It's not really being crushed anymore. But what's the other thing? Oh, it's left my mind. If it was being pulled or yanked. Actually, this is the other thing what I'll consider. When you've got a chest, when you've got a locked door, if you grabbed a melee item, an object, a shovel, a spade, a sledgehammer, and you whacked that lock, the padlock or the chain, that blunt force can cause a thick chain to break. Even if it's not weakened to begin with, it can break and open. The lock, the padlock can break open, and that's thick chain. So just imagine what could be done to a thinner necklace if there was a blunt object whacked on it. But take in mind, if that was the case, if a melee item was used to break a necklace chain, would someone go to such lengths to just do that without injuring Noah? That's what you got to consider. Some items and possessions may get in the way of contact to Noah, whether that be a fight, an accident, a fall, a crush, something, a hit on the highway or the party house property. If a sledgehammer or a baseball bat, if you want to push it as a golf club, was to be used, under certain circumstances, with enough force, it could cause the chain to break, especially if it's already weakened. But likely, because the chain necklace is around Noah, around his neck, contact with an object, a hit, doesn't only just break the necklace, but it would also make contact with Noah's neck and skin. So you'd expect damage on there as well, beside damage to the chain. And is there enough damage around the neck or the back of the neck to justify, one, the chain breaking under those circumstances, and two, internal blunt force, melee-based non-sharp injuries? Said the neck, internally decapitated and the vertebrae broken, C1, C2, C9, C12, stuff like that. And it was quite uniformed. That I think some were suggesting that certain beatings or a beatdown wouldn't be consistent because it would have to be done in a straight line or something. Putting that aside, due to the damage around Noah's neck area, oh, it's a bit blurry. Let's go back to Street View for a second. There we go. If the damage to Noah's neck area, whether that be at the party house property or elsewhere, was quite severe from the back and not so much from the front, if anything, for a chain to be broken with an item, maybe more likely if Noah was face down on the ground and someone had an object and whacked it down, it made contact with the chain, broke the necklace into pieces under that circumstance. Not just one hit, but multiple hits in different areas. More so focusing in on Noah or the neck, but it making contact with the necklace chain because it's around the same area which is being under attack. The chain would probably settle around the top of the spine or the top of the vertebrae, from the back, because that's where most of the damage is at. Under those circumstances, the chain could have been or made contact there as well. If it's not a beat down or a beating, but other means of an accident, a fall, some kind of contact, the same could happen with the chain necklace. I mean, back down at the highway, if we was to incorporate Tim Daniels' theory that did Noah Presgrove fall out the back of a vehicle or the side of a vehicle, it could explain why the white shorts were found in the middle of the road, first of all and foremost, by saying that if Noah was in a vehicle and stood up, unknown to him it was moving, and then he fell out, as he fell out, did his shorts, well, the borrowed ones for Jack, did they catch on the vehicle? So as Noah went one way, the shorts remained in place and pulled in the other direction. So he fell out of his own shorts and slipped out and hit the ground. And then shortly afterwards, the blast and the breeze, the wind with the moving vehicle caused the shorts to blow up into the sky, not too high, and then collect like a parachute and land upon the ground in the middle of the highway, not too far from where Noah was to be found. That could explain the shorts, but what about the broken necklace under that situation? If Noah fell out of a vehicle and he landed head first or neck first, the hitting at the ground at a certain force could have damaged the chain if it was already weakened, more likely. But then if there was any rolling and falling and collecting and rolling and hitting the ground and friction with the rough ground and the asphalt, that fast friction and tension could cause the chains to sever and break as well. Rolling and hitting the ground in different angles and sides could cause different angles and sides of the chain to break. If the chain is a bit loose and it's wrapped or it's spinning about on the ground, it becomes slightly twisted like how the body does. The chains could twist and snap that way. Then eventually hitting the ground and stopping along there, for example, and the chain slipping, sliding off the neck once stopping, and then the odd tooth as well falling out as well. So I'm just trying to give you visual examples of a beat down, how a chain can break, and then a accident of falling out of a vehicle. There could be other causes of death as well, and you're welcome to give those examples down below in the comments section. A side activity you could acknowledge, whether that be as a means of showing a level of recklessness or a lack of care or respect for personal items or possessions, would be the golf clubs. In terms of how Caden described them, they were broken or some were damaged because of what they were used for at the party, smashing and breaking up objects, and Noah was participating as well. They weren't Noah's, but they were borrowed from Dale and his brother. So if Noah doesn't always respect other people's items and possessions and uses them in reckless ways, did Noah Presgrove ever get, reckless with his chain and necklace? He may have wore it all the time because it was important to him, but in different environments, different weathers, temperatures, activities, any extreme moments, could it have caused damage to the necklace or chain there? Would it be as a result of his own neglect or negligence? I think what needs to be acknowledged and what's important is with Dalen, it's like borrowed clubs. With Noah's necklace, it's a personal thing. So sometimes you might be more selective, as in what you deem as more valuable and important and what you care for and protect more than other items. But it is important to acknowledge, if Noah was known to wear the necklace chain wherever he went, it leads to ultimately more wear and tear through different temperatures, weathers, environments, from dry grounds and dirt and sand to wet, damp areas, cold places, and even water with chemicals and salt water. The more you wear it in those conditions, the quicker it speeds up the weakening of the necklace and chain. But you can interpret that as a level of recklessness. Oh, you should wear it only on special occasions. You should keep it in a box. You should only put it on when you're going out somewhere, if you're meeting up with someone, if you're having a family get together or a special event. But ultimately, you wear it whenever you want because it's your item and it's being given to you. And to be honest, just because something may look tarnished visually, even if visually it looked damaged or a bit worn, wear and tear, it doesn't define a lack of care. It can actually be interpreted as when something is worn heavily, it's been put to good use and it's not been neglected or put away in a box to collect with cobwebs. It's been remembered, it's been acknowledged every day. Metaphorically, a chain, a necklace, a piece of jewellery which is worn very often, leading to wear and tear, is a deeper sign of care and love, a metaphorical reference to whatever journey and activities you engage with. You're taking it with you, you're taking a piece of someone with you. When a person can't be there by your side, you have something else that reminds you of them. So whatever you do, wherever you go, you're taking them with you as a memory, as an acknowledgement, taking them along for the ride, the journey. Just like how if you was in the presence of someone or a group of people, you would wish to do and explore and go places with people by your side, right? It's the same with jewellery, a reminder, something important. So for Noah Presgrove to wear that necklace a lot of the time in different circumstances, it shows he valued it a lot and didn't want to be separated from it. Because, as said, high risk, high stakes, certain items which have high value, sentimental value, if ever lost or neglected, taken away, ripped, broken, it can feel like the loss of someone through an item. As for Noah Presgrove, with the necklace chain breaking, whether it happened before, after, or during the death is a little bit unknown of, but at least due to learning about the conditions of the chain and how it can weaken, any activity, event that happened after that could have caused more likely the chain to break if it was already weak. So a simple tug, pull, catching on something when it's normally strong may not be enough to break into three pieces, just one. But if it's more weakened all over or in different areas, more likely to break into different pieces. Was contact made for a fight? Grabbing, pulling, shoving, pressing, crushing? As said, you drop a comment down below, let me know what you think. We'll leave it there for now, but if there's ever a time for an update, a follow-up, I will do so, and even with like the black shorts. But I just hope this video was good enough. If you want to share it, that'd be appreciated. Share it about, spread the awareness. Feel free to hit the like button. If you're on mobile or tablet device, feel free to hype the video. Fingers crossed that YouTube don't silence this, because it's very important. And once again, for the full playlist on the case of the videos, if you've missed out on any, don't worry, that's all where the eye symbol is. That all being said, we'll leave it there for now. My name's Ref. Thanks for watching, goodbye and good night.